Okay, good morning, everyone. We'll call the July 6th meeting of the Development Committee to order pursuant to Illinois Attorney General's guidance to public bodies on the Open Meetings Act during COVID-19 pandemic. County board members may participate without being physically present in compliance with the established provisions. I'll entertain a motion to allow Member Ozak to participate remotely. Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion carries. Call the order. Call the order, please. Call the roll.
Member Krajewski,
Here.
Member Colbert, Member Garcia,
Here.
Member Ozog,
Here.
Member Rutledge.
Here.
Chair Tornatori.
Here, and we have a quorum. I have nothing under chairman's remarks. We have some public comment this morning. Public comment is limited to 3 minutes per person at the beginning of the meeting. Any comment on zoning items must be limited to discussion of testimony presented at the Zoning Board of Appeals, and no new evidence or testimony may be presented. We have Shafir Karimi, I believe, regarding the special event.
Sorry about that. That was a mistake. I think Paul's going to present that again on our behalf.
Okay, well, we wouldn't be presenting it, but if we have any questions, we'll certainly call
Sure,
upon
yeah.
Paul. Okay, great. Next one is Mr. Wayne. Okay, certainly go ahead, sir.
Okay, so I mean, I'm come here to try to learn the process. I mean, I try to build a ground-mount solar system on my residence, provide evidence, and I mean the recommendation is basically 5 and one of the reasons is basically saying, okay, the reason I want to ground-mount is that there's no really on the property, there's no wood place has a good signage for it. Only area is in front of the house. So I present that evidence, but officer denied that, saying that's not his business to judge whether that's the case. And then, so there's no difficulty, no reason for this variation. I guess my question is, okay, if that's he couldn't make decision, what's the next? What I can do to convince that's a fact? Because I think it's a fact as a property owner, the property, but the variation, the people, they basically no, that's not a business. I couldn't decide, and based on that, they said there's no reason for the variation. And so, as a property owner, I would like to help guidance. Say, okay, what's the next step if I have to prove this is the case? For example, the code you can go to a committee or something like that. They will have inspector come here and say, okay, where is the variation? But at this time, I don't know where to go. I mean, I either drop the development, but it's a solar system with the green energy and also help economic activities, right? So I think it's a good project for my own purpose, for the country and the state.
Okay, thank you. Well, the good news is you're in the right place. That this is the next step. So we'll deal with it this morning. But thank you for coming. And lastly, we have is it Mark?
Yes.
On behalf of Montevideo or the 80th Street Investments. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Mark Gershon, I represent Montevideo, and I appreciate the opportunity to briefly overview a couple of key issues we've gone through. There's a very extensive record on this, and I hope you got a chance to look at it. But what we're very pleased with is that long process, multiple public hearings, et cetera, led to the zoning board eventually giving us unanimous recommendation of approval. And we're glad to work through that. I'd be remiss if I didn't emphasize the real community need for this. This group quarters would address a significant issue with an at-risk population who are protected as disabled persons under the Federal Housing Act. These are typically shy and introverted adolescent girls from our community who need the help this facility can provide, as shown in the record, as you saw from the letters, not only from parents, but also from local professionals in the area. We're already here. There's a group home for eight adolescent girls on this location. is part of this neighborhood. It will remain as part of this neighborhood, no matter how you as a board decide to rule on this. The only real question is whether or not we can hope to bring in 4 additional residents to the facility, which requires us to get a conditional use, apologize, for 4 additional residents. To be clear, no change to the existing home outside of the home, no increase in size or capacity. These beds are already in that location. They've already been approved by your building department, center as meeting all requirements. We are, of course, following the rules and are not using those beds because we're currently approved rate residents. There were a number of significant issues that were raised in the hearing. I just want to hit 1 or 2 of them. One of them was the question of impact on traffic. And as you saw, we had KLOA, our traffic experts at the hearing. They walked through the fact that the adjacent intersection currently operates at the highest levels of service A and B, even at the peak hours. We are increasing that by 0.2% by the increase in capacity. And they have confirmed that the roadways will continue to operate at those requirements. Again, a fairly extensive hearings, but we provided uncontradicted professional testimony at the hearing on no adverse impact on surrounding properties, on traffic, etc. The ZBA identified their concerns at the prior to the final public hearing, the issues that they had heard from the community they wanted us to address. You have in the record our response to each of those issues. They took a hard look at it. We established strict conditions that while they have cost limitations to us, we are willing to meet because we think it's that important for us to be here. Just to get an example, one of them was, did we have adequate buffering around our outdoor activities and parking? When we bought the property, it was a beautiful home, had a lot of landscape. We put in, if I'm right, 261 additional landscape items in this single family property to add additional buffering. So we respected the fact that the zoning board wanted us to do even more. And so the revised plan that's required now by the conditions suggested by the ZBA is that we will put in an additional 61 more trees and shrubs. Those are on the landscape plan that you would be approving if the board approves this. What shouldn't be lost here is the true meaning and impact on young girls at this facility. Just to get a sense, one of the first residents in this home when it first opened, I can't discuss her medical condition, but it was life-threatening. That was how bad a shape she was in. She recently came back to the facility to see all the staff, to thank them for what they've changed in her life, and to let us know that she just finished her first track and field meet, which clearly previously she couldn't do, and she was on her way to go to the prom. This changes their lives. I'm the father of 2 daughters. I'll admit I didn't really know much about this, and had a couple of the women associates in my office explain how they had gone through this as younger people, and it's truly life-changing to make sure that they have that opportunity. So what are the benefits of this? Providing service to additional adolescent girls in this community with real needs, significant upkeep and beautification of the property. We truly believe this enriches the community, and importantly for your zoning standards, no adverse impact on traffic, no adverse economic impact on the surrounding properties. Broadly, as you know better than I, the conditional use standards look at general public health, safety, and comforts of DuPage County, and this use couldn't do more to promote the good health and protection of this community by providing the second treatment. I'm going to leave it at that. I know your time is precious, but truly appreciate the opportunity to be here. Of course, available if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes the public comment portion of the meeting. We'll move on to approval of the minutes. I'll entertain a motion to approve the Development Committee minutes of June 1st, 2021. There's a motion and a second. Any additions, corrections, or deletions? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any minutes are approved. Moving on to regulatory services, permits, special events. I'll entertain a motion to approve SE 0321. This is a special event for Anjuman in South Beach, Chicago, to conduct an extraordinary religious worship gathering for religious the month of Ashara, August 8th to 18th, 2021 in Willowbrook, Illinois.
Second.
The motion and a second. Any discussion, any comments, questions? Brian?
Just a couple, is that unincorporated? On Main Street? Okay, and then did we get anything from the highway commissioner regarding 91st Street?
We're working, this is the last development committee meeting for the event. So this is still going to be conditioned on the sheriff's working with the petitioner. The sheriff's office is here today to talk about the contract they're working out with him. Also the health department, also working with the township highway commissioner and IDOT, who has jurisdiction over Route 83.
Because I'm not too concerned about Route 83 with the traffic, but if they start coming through like 91st Street, because it's only one lane, there's
Yes.
already problems over there.
Yes.
And then the sheer amount of people coming here with regards to parking.
Yep.
Because one of the issues we have with this, the facility that's just down on 91st Street is during the big kinds of parking in the neighborhoods.
Yes.
And so is there gonna be like a no parking? That's the highway commissioner, I assume.
We'll be working with the highway commissioner, but the sheriff's deputies will be providing detail as well relative to parking and drop off. There are several locations that the mosque is proposing to have VIP drop off, which will be at the facility itself. They'll also renting out parking to the property just to the north, which is a Buddhist temple, and they're also using a facility just to the south, a religious facility to the south, and the 91st Street Mosque. Those will all be patrolled by sheriff's deputies and providing traffic control and detail, also, as well as the mosque will be providing some of their own volunteer services.
Yeah, I'm not worried about all the parking lots that they're gonna use, that's great. It's just all the residential street.
Yeah, we'll work with the township to make sure that those roads will not be, like for instance, Jamie Lane or Jamie Court, which is just to the west of the 91st Street Mosque.
Yeah.
We'll work with them to make sure that parking won't be occurring there. I think there might be some relationship with Annie Jean's school for parking as
I was
well.
just saying, if they talk to the
Yeah,
school.
we'll be working with them on that.
All right, well, yeah, all right, except for the, making sure they're not in the residential neighborhoods.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Did we have anything from the sheriff's office that you wish to add?
We had a meeting last Friday. We determined the amount of deputies that would be required. We discussed what the possible costs are, and the only issue we might have is over 10 days, and the 5 per day is we'll put it out as a special detail. Just getting enough people to sign up, because that's a lot of hours over 10 days to fill. But as long as we can fill it, as far as the plan goes for traffic control and all that, we can handle that, no problem.
Great. So today's permit would be conditioned on agreement with the sheriff's office and the health department.
Sheriff's office, health department, township road,
Township road.
and also the state of Illinois. Absolutely, yes.
And with that, can we ask Willowbrook or Darien to, if you guys can't get?
We discussed with the gentleman that they would be reaching out. So say they want to use like the target lot is a location to park and then move. They've talked to some of the hotels in the area. They fully understand the jurisdictional issues and talking to who they need to talk to get it done. And we did discuss that day about how we do it in other areas with them talking to the township commissioner, the members of Timberlake Association about getting no parking signs put out in those areas that you're concerned with.
Okay, thanks.
The other thing too I would add is that prior to the event occurring, the mosque has indicated that they will, and they're required to provide us with sign-offs from the various entities. Parking will be provided and shuttle service will be provided as well. So we'll have that prior to the event.
And we're expecting 40,000?
Upwards of 25,000 potentially, is that correct?
10 to 20,000.
Oh, okay, that's a lot less than I had heard. Okay, thanks.
And it's still possible that the speaker may not be coming, which may make this a moot point.
That's correct, yes. Yeah, just so we're aware that this is the leader of this mosque group worldwide. Right now, it's our understanding that they are in the process of choosing between 2 different sites, this site and one. Three. One, Nairobi, Kenya, this site, and where's the other one?
In America, there are 3.
There are 3, okay.
Los Angeles, Houston. Houston has hosted 2 times already in past, about 10 years ago one and 8 years ago one. And this year, Los Angeles, Houston, and Chicago.
So if
And Nairobi and one city in India.
So if he chooses one of those other sites, then this will be a moot point.
Okay, wonderful. Any further questions? Okay, we have a motion and a second to permit the special event. There being no further questions, all those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to item B, I'll entertain a motion to approve DC 04821, ordinance C 2123. This is the 27 West 121st 80th Street investment. Zoning Board of Appeals recommendation to approve a conditional use to change the group home quarters from 8 to 12.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions, comments? Paul, this conditional use from 8 to 12 only applies to the current owner.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's one of the conditions.
Does was the original approval for 8 a conditional use as well?
No, when you have not more than
I
8,
recollect it's made a right, isn't it?
it's as a right. It's called a group home, so that's allowed as a right.
Okay, so the conditional use to 12 would only apply to the current owner.
That's correct.
Okay. Any questions, comments? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Moving on to item C, I'll entertain a motion to approve DC 049-21, ordinance C 2132. Holman, this is the zoning hearing officer's recommendation to approve a conditional use to allow an existing shed to remain closer than 10 feet from the interior side property.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Any questions, comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Entertain a motion to approve DC 050-21, ordinance C 2133. The zoning hearing officer's recommendation to approve a conditional use to allow a recreational vehicle to be parked in front of the front wall.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. We'll entertain a motion to approve DC 051-21, the zoning hearing officer's recommendation to approve a conditional use to allow an existing shed to remain less than 30 feet from the corner side property line.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. I will entertain a motion to approve DC 052-21. This is a zoning hearing officer's recommendation to deny variation to allow a ground-mounted solar panel and storage shed in front of the front wall of a house, and a variation to reduce the front setback for ground-mounted solar panels and storage shed from 30 feet to approximately 0 feet. This is a motion to approve. There's a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Questions? Mr. Kudrowski.
Yeah, thank you. For this one, I'm actually going to support this. I went by this property and I had a conversation with Paul, and the whole backyard is wooded. So in my opinion, that if that's the hardship that was created, I could infer that from the pictures, that having to chop down all the trees just to put the solar panels there. I mean, the only place you can really put it, and that's where the best sun is in the front of the building. I know there's nobody on either side, and Paul stated to me that no residents had any issues with it. But just from what I saw in the record here, I think that, it is demonstrated that, he's not going to impair any of the light or air the adjacent way. And none of these criteria seem to not have been met from what I saw in there. And it's the best place to put it. So I'm supporting this. I think, maybe the petitioner didn't articulate it very well at the hearing, but it appears from what I can see from the record that he does meet the requirements for the variance, so I'm supportive.
Member Rutledge.
Thank you, Sam. So I'm great with the solar panels, not so great with the shed in the front yard. And if there's plenty of room in the back, I guess I'm questioning why this is coming as a partnership, I suppose. If there's room to put the shed in the backyard, I probably
chop down all
prefer
the trees to do it. That would be the hard.
no room for a shed.
Well, one of the issues is that this is going to be a new structure, and in the back of the property there is a floodplain, and as Mr. Kudrowski said, a lot of trees,
Okay.
natural trees. But the other important thing is that because this is a solar panel, it needs
Of course,
light from the
exposure.
air, whereas a deck or a shed wouldn't need that. So it needs the exposure. The only real open exposure area is in the front north side of the house. That's the reason for the location.
Okay, thanks, Bob.
Vice Chair Garcia.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Member Krajewski. I'm going to support this. There is just plain woods in the back, and solar panels can't be on the pitch of the roof. And that's a big issue. I guess my only concern, Paul, was that if we have them facing these solar panels, 83, is there any kind of distraction for drivers or anything like that with the solar?
So on page 10 of your document, you'll see a front view of along frontage road of the property.
Okay.
It's frontage road to I-55.
Okay.
So there's a substantial amount of space between the front of the property and I-55, but more importantly, right at the front north side of the property is substantial vegetation. So you won't even be able to see the solar panels or even the structure from frontage road, let alone 55.
So it's only going to be seen really by the owner of
Only
the
by the
property?
owner, right? You can't even see it on the sides, east and west of the property because there's so much vegetation. But there is open space in the middle area, but on the perimeter of the property, heavily wooded.
Well, I'm all about green energy, so I'll be supporting this.
Any further questions, comments? Member Ozag, you have anything to add? We don't want you to feel left out.
I appreciate that, Chairman Torrentore. I think I can definitely agree with Member Krajewski and Member Garcia that this is positive, I think. And it really doesn't have impact on anybody, so I can go along with it, definitely.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve DCO 52-21. And a second. There being no further comments, questions, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion carries. Mr. Wing, you have your variation, and the only thing I might suggest to you is next time when you make a request before the zoning board of appeal, check with some staff people ahead of time so you know exactly how to do it the right way, and you don't get caught up in some of the minutia. Okay, but your recommendation is approved. It'll get sent to the county board next week for approval.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Oh.
Point out, supermajority at county board.
Yeah.
Not here.
Yes, and it will be what we call a super majority at the county board to approve this meeting will be 14 people. Okay, moving on to item G. I'll entertain a motion to approve DCO 54-21, ordinance C 2139 Ramirez, as zoning hearing officer's recommendation to approve a conditional use to allow an existing shed to remain less than 3 feet from the rear property.
So moved. Second.
A motion and a second. Any questions, comments, discussion? Hearing none, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Item H, I will entertain a motion to approve DCO 55-21, ordinance C 2140 Lang, zoning hearing officer's recommendation to approve a conditional use to allow another existing shed to remain less than 3 feet from the rear property line and 3 feet from the interior side property line.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Finally, I'll entertain a motion to approve DCO 56-21, ordinance C 2144 Salazar, the zoning hearing officer's recommendation to approve the variation to reduce the corner side yard setback from the required 30 feet to approximately 15.5 feet.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Any old business? New business for the committee? No old business, no new business. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Moved.
Motion is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
They don't need any hearing for that.